We speak for the trees have no tongues.
I'm Luke.
I'm Nick.
I'm Adela.
That was good. I don't really think we need. I don't really think we need the last names in there. It seems fine.
Yeah,
No.
no, that was a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
It makes me uncomfortable.
Quit being uncomfortable. Quit. Oh God. So, how was your nap though? That's good.
Oh my
I mean, I didn't really know I fell asleep. I was researching some shit.
What? Yeah, what were you researching?
So I'm in a research class right now, and we have to make a survey
Research how to
that we have to
research.
send out.
You have to
And
make a what?
apparently we're not allowed to create our own survey questions.
Hmm.
I have to find surveys that have been given out, but I can't find any for my topic.
What's your topic?
It's on, like, minority students and college success. So, what things do minority students need when they go to college in order to succeed? So, I found, a couple research articles. One looked into, their, outlook, having a positive outlook and, being able to, tell themselves that they can, do good and that they are going to succeed. And then another one I found with how professors need to help minority students in a different way than a normal college student. I can't find anything survey question wise. It's kind of annoying. And I think that's why I fell asleep.
Yeah. Well,
Wow,
I mean, you're having a hard time finding research that you can turn into survey questions? Is that what you mean?
No, he actually wants us
Just
to
do a
find
survey.
like
That's what I mean.
the
oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Weren't you also at a certain point doing research on people who not necessarily cultural appropriation, but people who identify or assimilate to other cultures?
Oh yeah, I was doing another paper on um not fitting into your own cultural standards.
Yeah,
So yeah,
or whatever is the dominant stereotype or idea for
yeah,
that culture. Hmm.
yeah, that's the whole paper I did, and I found out I did the whole paper wrong. And I was like, this is such a good paper though.
Was
I wish I wish you'd take it.
what do you mean? Why did you do it wrong?
Um, 'Cause it was for my native lit class,
Right.
and like I was I guess I understood her wrong, her requirements for the paper. Like, I wanted to examine, the author was Thomas King, and it was, the truth about Indians. I think that's the name of the book. And, so I was doing it about that, and she didn't, um, not so much want topics that he, went over in his book, but, she wanted it to be, I can never say that fucking word, literary topics.
Literary?
Yeah, so, I had to change my whole paper, and I was he examines cultural identity through, this type of writing style, and this type of writing style, and this other type of writing style. And I was like, you could have just told me that in the beginning when I sent you my proposal, instead of telling me it sounded good. And then I wrote a 5-page paper.
Wait, so basically what happened was you were supposed to write it how he would argue it from specific writing styles, not just an overview of the thing itself?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I had a class, I believe it was last fall semester, and the professor had the last project, instead of having a final for the class, we had a 15-page research paper, and it was part of a an academic collaboration with a bunch of universities in Europe, actually, and essentially it was trying to identify different environmental risks and hazards and the way that different entities are dealing with those risks and with the problems created by them. There was things like non-point source agricultural pollution, industrial sabotage, infrastructure, any of that kind of stuff. And he had a very specific way that he wanted you to enter the information into the paper, like as a format. He had sections that he wanted everyone to follow very specifically. And my friend Brad, he knows his shit. Like, he's a very smart guy, but he kind of went about it in a way that he just wrote a paper, like a regular research paper that you would write without any format guidelines. And the basically it was split into two parts. So the first part of the paper was due maybe a month before the end of the class, and it was like 5 pages, as far as you could get in that format with the 5 pages. It wasn't a compressed version of the entire paper. It was just the first, third of it. And my buddy Brad didn't follow any of the formatting shit at all. And the professor, he showed me the thing after the professor gave it back to him, and it literally just said, well, it's interesting, but you didn't follow any of my format guidelines, so I'm going to have to give you a 0. And I was like, holy shit, man. That's fucking
awful.
That's fucking harsh.
Yeah, I remember when I went to Harper, my first year of college, in my English 101 class, my teacher had we had to write an essay, and she gave us a paper of exactly how she wanted it formatted and what it needed to be about. And so I made sure I followed all of it, and I went to all the writing workshops, and I handed it in, and when I got it back, she literally took a red pen and on all of my pages put an X through everything that I wrote. And then on the last page she wrote in all caps did you even follow the directions for this assignment? And I was like, oh my god, I literally went to all 3 of your writing workshops and you said nothing to me.
I don't know why some people would just wait until the very end to crush somebody's dreams.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
I
most fun, though,
Yeah.
I honestly hate literature.
You
I
finish
hate
everything, and then you're just like, nope, you fucked up.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have told you earlier, but you fucked up. I mean,
but as a teacher, that's just bullshit.
Yeah,
You're
that's
showing
not
them
ethical
how
for
to
sure.
do things.
You're a business major, though, right?
Yeah.
Have you run into a lot of situations where you have to write long ass term papers and shit, though? Or
Well,
I don't really I don't know anything about the business.
Business doesn't
department.
have many papers, but everything is a lot compared to my environmental science classes. Business is a lot more. You have one way of doing it. In accounting, there's 2 different ways to do it, but ultimately there's only one way or 2 ways to do it. So if you don't do it their way, then you fail.
What do you mean, do it though? What are you actually doing in a class?
For accounting, you had to do equations and then put in different, for accumulated depreciation, you had to figure all that out. Then for my OMIS class right now, which is just I forget what it stands for, but basically I had to make a website, and I had to make an Excel sheet, and you can make it look pretty in your own way, but the actual work that's done, everyone's looks exactly the same.
Oh, okay. You're
Robot shit.
that kind of teaching is called recipe sheet teaching.
Yeah.
It's where every student's doing the exact same thing, so you're kind of stuck in this little box, and like you said, for your website, even though you can design it differently, pretty much everyone's is gonna look the same. Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
That's almost a metaphor for the way that Western culture operates, isn't it?
We all want this tiny little box to be the answer to everything.
Well, not only that, but we're split off into roles that we can provide the greater system, as opposed to interdependency. It's all just you're fitting into a paradigm wherever it It's just hierarchical. Like, it's
I mean, just like we were talking about yesterday. Like, it's all about, like, true life should be about interdependency.
yeah, exactly, yeah, interdependency in every regard. Everybody should be able to benefit with their skills and their knowledge, their interests to whatever degree they can, and reciprocally, people should try to benefit others, in the ways that they can, and everybody helps each other, and it's community as opposed to competition, and it just, oh God, I don't know, capitalism sometimes is a very soul-grinding
System.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be, but the way we have it set up right now,
Yeah. No,
it can
that's
be
that's
very easily.
yeah. I mean, that's definitely true. It's not like all wealthy people are just fucks.
Yeah.
Um, Elon Musk is a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
It's not the super wealthy that are the problem. It's the super greedy.
Well, yeah. And yeah, totally. What did you watch that PBS documentary on? Oh, I didn't send it to you actually. Basically, it's this coal advocate and
A cult advocate?
coal,
Coal.
like
Oh,
coal
coal.
industry,
Okay.
and like how Scott Pruitt got to be head of the EPA, and how Trump has ties to, I forget the name of it, but all these different coal corporations, and why, like, when he just all this like bring back coal, the real America,
Yeah, clean coal.
clean,
Yeah.
clean coal.
Clean coal.
Yeah, and so basically, like, all their ties within the government that are just, like, not progress is keeping us in the same spot that we've been in for the past 100 years instead of progressing to something like renewable energy, where if we had a full system of electrical, like, solar panels and everything, imagine what we could do. Think about, like, first off, that means that people can spend their time, like, in my opinion, I think humanity heading towards automation is a good thing because that gives us time to focus on other things like arts, ethics, political stuff, like actually progressing towards a better America. Like, if you look at people in the city, they're a lot more progressive and they have more time to do real things, where people that are out in the rural areas don't really have time to focus on those mind, like, I don't know the word for it, but like actual things that help you become a better human being.
Self-reflection,
Yeah.
introspection.
Yeah.
Well, just on what you were saying with renewable energy and all that, I would just like to point something out, which is something that I've known for a little while now that is fucking crazy, and that's that the first electric vehicles came out. They were originally developed in the late 1820s and early 1830s, like a
Wow.
long ass time ago. And there's two things.
It was made before the first gasoline powered
Oh,
car.
yeah. The first practical ones were, I think it said,
Like 50
let's
years
see,
ago.
patent use of rails using. Okay, so
Sorry.
trains. The first electric trains were in England in 1840, but the first practical electric cars were around the 1880s and 1890s. And so what happened was, this happened twice throughout history, in recent history, where we had electric vehicles that were viable and almost went on the market en masse. And then what happened was, in the 1890s, the price of coal dropped drastically. And it was so much cheaper to just start using coal that they stayed with coal. I believe it was the 1890, oh, here we go, the 1867 World Exposition. There was an electric two-wheel cycle that was on display. So they've been around for a long time. And 1890, 1891 in America, the first electric cars were developed. But anyway, and basically the other event was they became very popular again right around the time of, I believe, either World War I or World War II. And again, the coal market plummeted. And prices of coal just dropped to like nothing.
And I wonder how that happened.
Exactly. and people were like, well, fuck this new technology. Why wouldn't we just stay with coal? It's so cheap. And, it's taken until, really, I guess,
now.
pretty much with like
Really?
in this country with like Tesla, that was like the first big one where it was like, oh shit, you can have electric cars that don't look like little like
I mean,
weak, because American people love their big cars, man.
if you think about it, when was like the past week? I mean, I've definitely seen an electric car every day, but before like a year ago, there was no time I would see like an electric car maybe once a month. But to be able to see one every day means that we're progressing towards it more. But it's still kind of sad you don't always see them every day because,
Yeah.
there's gasoline around every corner, you know.
Yeah, it's
You can
convenience
only
to a
really
certain
charge
degree.
at your house right now. Well, there are a few places, but I mean, DeKalb has the ones on school, like you don't see that many,
Yeah. Hmm.
especially out here. I mean, back where I'm from in the North Shore, they have more.
Yeah. Well, that's North Shore is a nice area though,
Yeah,
man.
and they have a Tesla store there too.
Oh
so,
yeah, that'll do.
in Highland Park.
My 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 dad's side of the family lives over in Glencoe, which is kind of by the North Shore.
Mm.
Used to be a very Jewy area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Highland Park.
Yeah, Highland Park.
I
Yep,
love
yep.
Highland Park.
Yeah.
They have so many
Yeah,
good
I'm
delis.
pretty sure that my dad and my favorite Jewish deli called Kaufman's Deli represent. We're not getting any ad money from Kaufman's, but Kaufman's, you're fucking the bomb. They've got the best Jewish corned beef, the best Jewish new pickles, some goddamn good chopped liver.
Mm.
Oh God.
No, I hate chocolate.
Oh well. It's kind of a weird thing. I feel like you have to grow up eating it to like it.
Yeah.
But it is so
Yeah, you
fucking
definitely do.
good. Yeah. Adela always says that I have the eating habits of an 80-year-old man.
It is very true. You do.
Yeah.
Well, I know what I always think is so strange.
Huh.
In one of my development classes, we were talking about how, like, there's been a lot more research in what women eat while they're pregnant affects what the child likes when they get older.
Mm.
So if you are, like, for instance, like, just like a low-income woman and all you're, like, really able to afford is just, like, very, like, sugary, I don't know, like, just not nutritious food, your child is going to develop that sort of habit of eating the same thing. But then I also think it's interesting how, like, well, is the child, like, I guess, like, already, like, set in what they like to eat because of their mother, or is it also, like, because what they're able to afford? Because obviously, like, I think it would be interesting to, I guess, like, that would even be, like, an interesting research topic, too, would be, like, study what a mother eats while they're pregnant, and then once the child is born, like, completely change the family's diet and
That's
see
what I was
if,
gonna
like,
say.
the child still would go towards that food that the mother ate, or would still choose, like,
Yeah.
would
Like,
choose
is it
to eat the-
conditioning from within the womb or outside of the womb?
Well, it's interesting
Yeah.
you say that because I've noticed a lot of kids, like, there's the stereotype in America that kids don't like to eat vegetables, right?
Yeah.
You know, you gotta eat your broccoli, you gotta eat your Brussels sprouts, whatever the fuck it is. Well, I grew up loving vegetables. My parents always cooked vegetables and shit like that. I would always eat broccoli, asparagus, peas, cauliflower, whatever the fuck it was. But I know that, I believe the comfort food that my mom ate a lot when she was pregnant with me was, I think it may have been, not chopped liver, but liver sausage.
Wow, that's
And,
hard.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's really hard.
yeah, that was like the pregnancy food, like a comfort food, I guess, because my grandpa always ate that, and my mom grew up eating that as well. But she always ate vegetables still. Like she didn't go to like a shit diet when she was pregnant with any of me or my two brothers. Not that I know of, and all three of us grew up for the most part liking vegetables. So that is interesting. That's purely anecdotal, obviously, but because I know a lot of, like, Hadley, for instance, my cousin. She, for a long time, her diet consisted often of hot dogs. When she was really little. And I mean, obviously they're easy to eat. Throw a hot dog in the microwave, they're good. But I remember for a long time at Thanksgiving, she would eat just the Hawaiian rolls.
Oh, those are good.
Wow, really? She wouldn't like have like mashed potatoes or like a
Maybe,
little
maybe
bit
the
of
stuffing.
turkey?
Maybe the stuffing.
Okay.
But and Hadley, don't don't get pissed that I'm talking about you. I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just saying it's true.
I love stuffing.
No, stuffing's the shit. Oh
Yeah.
God, I'm actually really excited. Even though I don't really agree with the idea of us having Thanksgiving, yeah. I
But the
am very
food.
excited for the food. Yeah, I love me some green bean casserole and some fucking turkey and gravy and
I just
stuffing
want
and mashed
some-
potatoes.
yeah,
Oh
mashed
my
potatoes,
God.
Gravy.
That cranberry sauce that
Stuffing.
comes out of the can like a big glob
Yeah,
of
the
jello.
Ain't bad. Ain't bad.
And plus, you get, I mean, for me at least, I get to see a lot of family that I rarely get to see, and it's a branch of my family that I really adore.
Yeah, do you like, when you have Thanksgiving, is it a majority of your dad's family, or is it a combination of both your mom and dad's?
It's pretty much only my mom's.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. So, my mom's mom, my grandma, Joan, her sister, she had two sisters, and her older sister's daughter, Mary Beth. My mom and Mary Beth are very much like Hadley and I. They're cousins, and they've been best friends their whole lives. And we generally have Thanksgiving at Mary Beth's house.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a really cool branch of the family. I actually ran into my cousin James, who's Mary Beth's older son. I ran into him at a fish show over the summer.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really funny. I was waiting in line for the porta potty, and this guy comes up. He's a pretty tall dude. This big guy comes up behind me and like hugs me from behind. I was like, what the fuck? I turn around. I'm like, holy shit, James!
Like this.
Oh my God. Yeah, and I used to see my cousin Aaron at dead shows too back in the day, which obviously back in the day for me is like 5 years ago, but.
The Mustache Man. That was great running into Mustache Man again at Wrigley for Dead and Co.
I just loved that every time he came back to our campground when we were at Bark River, he would just say, "Man, I should really call work."
Yeah, I don't think he ever called work.
No, he probably lost that job.
The thought was there, but the action was not.
You just keep walking. This guy, Luke, I'm telling you right now, man, he had an extraordinary mustache.
It was honest. It's like magical to look
It was.
at.
Really?
We would talk to him, and you would just feel like, man, this guy knows what's fucking up, man.
You should get a picture of his mustache and make it the cover art for this episode.
Yeah, I don't even remember his name.
Nope.
I just call him Mustache Man.
There you go. Was it? Who's the other guy at the Cody, right?
Oh yeah, Cody.
Cody. Oh my God, man! What happens at dead shows? I tell you.
Yeah, Cody.
Oh
R.I.P.
goodness.
Cody.
He's out there somewhere.
I know.
Maybe we'll see him at the next dead show.
10 tabs later, man.
Why?
Yeah, why would you do that?
Why would he think that's a good idea?
Because he's Cody.
Because he's Cody. Oh my God, that's great. Do you want to tell Luke the story? He obviously is like probably doesn't know what the fuck we're talking about.
This was when Dead and Co. went on their first tour for fall, and my boyfriend and I, we drove up to Ohio, and it was like probably like during their like second song, like we decided to like take our tabs, and this kid next to us, he's just like, "Hey, I'm Cody," and like we're like introducing ourselves to him. He's like, "Do you guys have an extra tab by any chance?" And we're like, "Oh no, like we only brought like one for each of us." And my boyfriend was like, "Oh, you could probably like find some during like the break set. There's probably like a bunch of people around here that have like extra." And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea." And so during the break set, he left and then comes back like right when the show's about to start. And my boyfriend Eric asked him, he's like, "Oh, did you have any luck?" And he's like, "Yeah, I found a guy, sold me 10 tabs, so I took all 10 of them." And then throughout the whole entire show, he just kept like turning to us, and he's like, "Oh man, this is crazy. This is so crazy. My name's Cody. What's your name?" He did it so many times that would be like, "Hi, Cody. I'm Eric. This is Adela."
Every time.
Every single time.
Every song.
That was a great song. My name's Cody.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
Oh my god.
I'm Cody.
Whatever happened to him?
Well, like, when the show was over, we were, like, all walking together, and then we kept going straight, and he turned right, and I was like, "Bye, Cody. I hope we find you again." But we never saw him after that.
Oh,
He had, like a slight southern accent,
huh.
which I'm not sure if that's, like, normal in Ohio or not. I don't know. Because I know, like, in southern Illinois,
Yeah.
they have accents, which is strange.
It doesn't even have to be that far down south. There's people from
Indiana.
Dixon.
Oh, yeah.
No, there's people from Dixon, Illinois that I met one time camping, and they had very southern accents. They sounded like they
Really?
were straight out of Tennessee, man.
Actually,
Where's
yeah,
Dixon at?
Dixon? Dixon's probably an hour south of DeKalb.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that I
That's
think about it,
interesting.
someone came to one of my classes, and they live in Rochelle, and, like, they had a southern accent.
It's so weird. Dialects are very strange. The way that people develop. I
It's
heard,
like who you relate to, you know? I think that's kind of part of it.
but it's
Maybe.
weird because, for instance, you can be born in America and go to Britain and have a child with somebody, and obviously that child will grow up with a British accent, even though that one of the parents, even if even if the woman or father, whoever, raised it as a single parent, if they grew up in Britain, they would most likely grow up with a British accent, because
Yeah.
that's the predominant thing that they're exposed to all the time, except in the home.
Yeah.
I
I hate my accent.
Well, I mean, even if I moved to Britain now, I'm sure eventually I'd pick up a British accent.
I mean, you might be able to imitate it, but I don't think it would become your normal accent.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know either. I'm
My
just
sisters-
assuming.
My sister's lived in Kentucky for like 3 years now, and every once in a while she'll have like...
Dude,
It'll
but
be
I'll go
okay.
into the southern sometimes too.
But it's like different though, you know?
It's very contagious, actually.
Yeah.
it's kind of fun. I like a southern accent.
It's so fun talking to southern
The
accents.
southern drawl. I remember my family and I, we went down to North Carolina for two different 2-week-long vacations when I was in middle school. And by the time we hit, we would usually go down through southern Illinois, Kentucky, across to North Carolina, I think. And by the time we would hit Dixon, pretty much, my brother Alexander and I would just be doing the southern accent. We wouldn't stop the whole time we were down there, man. You see some crazy shit down there, though, man. I remember they have these things called peach stands, which are literally just little,
Stands with peaches.
well, some of them are a lot more elaborate than just stands, but they got like fried peanuts, they got
Nice.
peaches, apples, all sorts of different kinds of fruit, jellies, jams, posters, shirts, all sorts of shit. And this one guy, there was this peach stand that was literally on the precipice of a cliff, basically. It was right at the edge of a fucking cliff. There was a really curvy road that went around this mountain,
Oh, nice.
and right on the edge, man. And of course, we're always interested in seeing what's up at the peach stand. So we pulled over, walked over, and my brother Alexander and I were looking at all these big flags that they had, and there was a couple Confederate flags, which I wasn't surprised by. But there was this one that, and I'm not a supporter, obviously, of racism or the Confederacy or any of that shit, but just as a flag, it was a pretty, badass flag. Like, if I was a racist and I was a Southerner and Confederate, I would get pumped up by this flag. Like, it was...
Let the rebels ride.
Well, it said the South will rise again
Oh my God.
on the top.
Yeah.
And it was the stars and bars, but in the center, instead of it just crisscrossing, there was a big circle, and there was a bunch of skeletons wearing Confederate uniforms with their rifles and with cutlasses and on horses and shit, and they're all like coming out of the ground.
Oh man.
I was like, holy fuck, these guys are intense.
Yeah.
I was like in 8th grade. I was like,
South
holy
will rise.
shit, man. Yeah.
Nick whispers, "The rebels will ride. The rebels will ride."
Yeah, that's why I hang out with you and Eric. I'm just waiting for my opportunity. Oh my god. Dude, I had such a great weekend.
Yeah, I had a great weekend last week, too.
It was a grand old
I was
time.
just thinking about that today. I was like, oh man.
Yeah. It's always sad leaving y'all. Oh well.
I'm so excited to come home. Like, I'm literally counting down the days.
For Turkey Day?
Yeah.
Who do you usually celebrate Thanksgiving with?
I normally just go to my grandpa's, and then it's just, like, my immediate family.
Okay.
So, like,
That's nice.
my aunts and my cousins.
What's the usual meal?
I normally make turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes. We don't do that cranberry shit because no one likes cranberries in my family.
The cranberry shit.
We have this, like, tradition where everyone makes, like, a different side or, like, a dessert, and that's what you bring.
Right,
So,
so it's
like-
kind of like a potluck.
Yeah, so it's different every year. I remember, do you guys know who the Duggars are?
The Duggars.
They have, like, 20 children. They live in Arkansas. They're,
Oh, it's on reality
totally
TV, right?
Christian. Yeah, I think it's on TLC.
Well, regardless, but I know of it.
Okay, well, like,
Or
when
them.
I was in 8th grade, they, like, on their show, they always make this thing called tater tot casserole. And my mom was like, why don't we try that for Thanksgiving? And so we made, like, a huge batch of it, and it literally tasted like fucking shit. And no one at Thanksgiving ate it. Because it was so nasty. It was literally like tater tots and like cream of mushroom, and I think like one other ingredient.
Like
And
cream
you
of
just,
mushroom soup mix?
Like, yeah,
Or like the soup itself?
like cream of mushroom soup mix,
Okay.
and you dumped it over the tater tots. I don't know. I honestly don't know what we did, but like I still tried to eat it, and it was honestly like gag worthy. It was so bad.
Wow. Man.
Trash-tastic.
As far as I can think of right now, I'm fairly certain that I eat every goddamn thing that they put on that table in Thanksgiving. Oh, man. Oh, I just love food in general.
When does Dairy Mart close? Dairy Mart already closed? Or...
No, they're open through the winter. They put up a big, vinyl screen with a door that you walk in. and
I
you
didn't
hang
even
out.
know that. I thought they closed in, like, the fall.
Nah, dude. Well,
Cool.
we can... Eric's coming back with you too, right, for break?
Yeah.
Well,
He is... I think his mom's picking us up.
okay. Well, the three of us should go to Dairy Mart at some point. That place is the bomb.
Yeah, it's so cheap, too.
It
For
is
such good food.
ridiculously cheap. That place and Dog and Suds, the two of them are
Oh, dog and suds.
Dog and
Dog
Suds.
Suds is so good.
Yeah, it really is. There was a day over the summer that Jimmy, my buddy back in Algonquin, him and his girlfriend ordered like a kayaking trip down the Nippersink River up in McHenry.
Okay.
And the week before our reservation was our reservation was on a Friday, so we all took off work and shit. It was Jimmy, his girlfriend, his younger brother, who's one of my best friends, Nick, and me. And the whole week before, it just rained like crazy, and it was when there was all that flooding going on the
Yeah.
Fox River, and every tributary to the Fox was fucking flooded as shit. So the day comes, and we hadn't heard anything officially of whether or not we had to have like a cancellation for our trip. And we got there to this launching point up in McHenry at like 9 in the morning probably. We all got up early. We all, were ready to go. We had our shit. And basically what it was going to be was there was going to be an adventure service or outdoor rec service or whatever you want to call it. They would come and pick us up and drive us way up the river. We would get off on kayaks that they would provide and ride back down to where our cars were parked.
And destroy the reef.
Exactly. Going over the Great Falls of Anduin and or the Falls of Raros, Yeah. And, well, we got to the place, and there was nobody there to pick us up, and there was 3 other people that were waiting there as well, and we're all like, what the fuck's going on? This is bullshit. So this one woman ends up calling both the McHenry County Conservation District and this outdoor rec company. Conservation District doesn't answer. They don't do shit for us. But the rec company sends somebody out, and he's like, well, that's weird. The gate's locked to the park. I don't know what's going on. And he also was told that there was like 5 fewer people coming than there were, so he didn't even have enough kayaks anyway. Well, turns out that the McHenry County Conservation District canceled all outdoor rafting and kayaking activities along the Nippersink because it was so flooded, and didn't tell anybody, and our whole shit was canceled. So we were just going to go to we were going to go to the new Crystal Lake Beach, the one that's in that quarry. It's pretty nice. But it wasn't, close enough by that we wasted a bunch of time. Yeah, we were looking for time to waste because it was really far, and our reservation over there wouldn't start for a while. So what we did was we drove past Dog and Sud on the way, and I'm like, holy fuck, I forgot Dog and Suds is right over here. We definitely got to go to Dog and Sud. And we pull in, and then we realized that it wasn't open yet either. So we ended up going to a forest reserve for like an hour, just waiting for Dog and Sud to open up. And then I ended up running into my buddy Evan, who was working with NCAP too, which was really funny. And then we went back to Dog and Sud, had a bomb-ass meal at Dog and Sud, because Dog and Sud is the shit.
Root beer.
Oh yeah, definitely. I got a root beer float, man.
Oh, hell
yeah. Yeah. And then everything was right with the world, man.
Dog and Suds will make everything okay.
That's right, man. I love those little ice cream hamburger diner kind of places.
Yeah.
The not chain ones.
So
I mean,
good.
Dairy Queen's fine, but...
Same thing with Portillos. I don't, even though Portillos is starting to become more of like a larger chain, I still love Portillos.
Yeah.
Well,
Classic.
they got bought out by a Boston-based company, I think 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know if you've noticed, but not necessarily the quality, but the consistency of their food. Like, it's not as consistently amazing every fucking time anymore.
Yeah.
But when it is, it's still really good. But I mean, I've gotten the chicken sandwich from Portillos in the last year, and I've been like, dude, this is rubber.
Well, it's also just our chicken is pretty much shit now.
Yeah, but it's been shit for longer than 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, yeah. Like, I went to this one, fancy restaurant and got a chicken marsala, and it was rubbery. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I paid $25 for this piece of shit? What the fuck? Like, I should just stayed home and make it. Like, I can make this for $5 and it would be better. And I get to watch TV in my own home.
That's definitely true.
Oh, speaking of TV, did you watch Stranger Things Season 2? Either of you?
My boyfriend watches it, so, I'll occasionally
Pop in.
see, a few episodes, but I never really know what's going on.
Oh, that's pretty good. You should check it out. Out of Netflix original shows, it's probably my favorite.
Oh my god!
What?
Right back.
Oh my god. He just, ran off. Super fast.
Did he just, literally, did something happen, or did he just get up and run out?
I don't know. He was just like, oh my god! And then he, stormed out.
I forgot, I put a sweet potato in the oven about an hour ago, and I forgot to flip it. I was afraid it was oozing all over the place.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I look at the time, I was like, holy fuck! The sweet potato!
Was it that sweet potato from Tuesday?
Yeah, it's so fucking big, dude. It's been cooking in there for probably an hour and 10 minutes already.
Damn.
Yeah.
I love sweet potatoes.
Me too.
They're so good.
Oh, sorry. What were we talking about? Oh man, that totally oh. That I was gonna run in there and be black smoke pluming out of the oven. Pluming. Oh my God. All right. Heart's going a million miles a second.
My sweet potato.
Oh, Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good. I don't want to give anything away if you guys don't care.
I mean, I personally don't give a shit about spoilers at all.
I thought you said you did.
No.
What about Breath of the Wild?
Well, only that one. I mean, one out of everything ever is pretty small amount of caring. It's I've invested 225 hours in that game already. I'd like to earn that real ending.
True that. That's some dedication.
It's probably gonna be about 400 by the time I'm done with Master Mode. So.
Oh, if not more.
Yeah, probably.
Master Mode.
Master Mode. I was trying to get Eric addicted to the Switch, Adela, so he'll get one.
I want a Switch. I genuinely want one, but I know if I did get one, I wouldn't really do anything productive.
Yeah, they're so fun though, man. It's like so.
I just love how convenient they are.
It's so convenient. I can't go back now. Any console that's not a computer seems so backwards to me now. It's like, of course, this makes so much sense.
What do you mean? Oh, okay.
The concept, like the
You're
hybrid
saying
concept.
a Switch and a computer.
Yeah, that's the.
Okay.
I feel like that's the combo, man.
Oh yeah.
Because anything on the computer, pretty much you can get that's on PS4 or Xbox One. So why would you get those?
I'm just waiting for like good virtual reality.
Yeah.
Where you truly feel immersed. Like to play Fallout 4 or like some dystopian shit would be fucking awesome. If you're like, it looks just like real life. That'd be amazing. Like you feel like you're actually moving around and stuff. You know, like a treadmill type thing or whatever.
See, VR scares me. It's
Why?
a slippery slope. I feel
Towards
like
what?
towards people completely running away from actual life.
Well, people already do that.
Yeah, but I don't think we should aid the process. You know what I mean? That's what I like about Nintendo is they're trying to focus on couch multiplayer. That's been their thing forever. It's actually playing a game in a room with somebody, not necessarily just across the world.
Well, what if...
They have that too, but,
Yeah.
couch multiplayer, man. It's just so easy. Like, I brought the Switch to Eric and Adela's, and we played it, like, all weekend.
Well, I mean, like, you know, Pokemon Go, like how you're out there in the real world.
Right,
GPS
right, exactly.
stuff. That's a really close step to what it would be the optimal VR. VR, that's reality as well.
So
Augmented reality.
you're talking about AR though, yeah. That's different.
Well, I mean, I just feel like you can't really make a game where, because then you're trespassing on people's property and that type of stuff. Like, I mean, like, Pokemon Go does it pretty well, but how can you make a war game or like a survival game, like even like Minecraft in AR, where you're walking around? It'd have to just be in your yard, you know.
Or any public space.
Or public
you could go to
space.
any park, man.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that'd be pretty cool if they just program it. Oh, damn, that'd be fucking
Yeah,
awesome.
it maps out the area you're at, and then it projects it.
Oh man, if it just did it for like national parks to include, to like get people to go to like national parks
or like state parks and shit.
Yeah, well,
any of them.
forest preserves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any federal or statewide or countywide or citywide granted land to be used for
Public land.
public
Yeah.
recreational purposes.
Oh, speaking of
recreational.
of national parks, I just wanted. I know I may have told both of you before this, but I just found this out, and I thought this was really interesting and kind of fucked up, and I'm excited to learn more about it. So I'm ordering a book on it. But I recently found out that the original inspiration, a big, not entirely, but a big part of the original inspiration for the National Park Service was a kind of last gasp kind of attempt to just grasp as much Native American held land as possible. And when Yosemite was established as a national park in 1870 or 72, it had the result of essentially evicting something like 20 different tribes that resided within the greater Yellowstone area. And it's just a perpetuation of the same, eviction and compartmentalization process that was rampant throughout much of the 1800s in general. But I thought that was super interesting. I just ordered a book called Dispossessing the Wilderness about the ties between the National Park Service and the Bureau of Indian Affairs, because they're both within the Department of the Interior, and how closely they're tied together in a lot of policies that were enacted. Really interesting. So, sorry, I had to throw that in there because I almost forgot to talk about it, and when you said parks, it brought it back up. So, yeah. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. National.
Why are we like this? That's a good question.
Why are we like what?
Consume everything, turn into cars.
I don't know, man. That's a good question. It's a question that's been asked by a lot of people for a long time, I think. But I don't know. I think it's.
Well, I think we don't like seeing things that are different from us, like the majority of humans. Like, we don't like different opinions. We like everyone to... Because that means that our argument could be false, but instead, we should be focusing on how we're both right in, like, the areas that, like, there is no fully correct for most answers, especially when it comes to your belief system, which aren't based in, like, of course, gravity is a thing. You know, like that, you can't have two thoughts on that.
There are people out there that deny gravity, by the way.
Well, I know. But, you know, like...
No, I know.
And I guess, like, in a way, that's justified to be, like, what crazy people, but, you know, like, you don't have to, like, I don't know, like, exercise them.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people out there that deny basic...
Ostracize.
Yeah, I know what you meant. That reject basic scientific fact. But...
Yeah, like flat earthers.
Yeah, but I think that this idea of trying to conquer and make over in your own image is a very... it's almost a very Abrahamic way to look at the world. I feel like a lot of Western culture, when, for instance, the Roman Empire converted to Christianity with the death of Constantine in the 400s, it kind of had the result of speeding up the process in which a lot of the original indigenous communities and pagan traditions within Europe were completely wiped out. And I feel like the spread of the Roman Empire across Europe left a generational traumatic ripple effect kind of throughout Europe that had the result of, in the 14 through 1800s, it was them coming to terms with this trauma in them living it out again as the conquerors. So you have this kind of, it's like when a child is born into an abusive family, they're not always, but more often than not, they have abusive tendencies because that's the ways in which they were traumatically impacted during their development periods. Well, you have an entire continent, essentially, that was conquered by a single civilization that instilled a specific idea of civilization, of ethics, of law, of the art of war, of all that shit, of trade. And I think that a lot of the idea of why we're all about consuming is because we're a civilization that is trying to promise this idea of everyone being happy, and yet the more you try to achieve within
those confines.
Yeah, the more you feel like they're constraining, and the more that it seems ridiculous that this kind of a civilization can really lead us to happiness, because it's all about competition, man. It's all about the bottom, the bottom line. Yeah. It's so
like
weird.
We have lost so much. Like, I mean, like, therapy is our way of looking at the inside. Like, but, like, even, like, if I go to church, like, I've been going to church a little bit, and it's a Catholic church, and what I hear there, like, spiritually, isn't necessarily, it's very consumerist still. Like, it is, sometimes it is about seeking the God within yourself, you know, and finding true happiness within yourself. But they don't really focus on that like they should. You know, like, you don't hear it, like I go to AA, and, like, they talk about, like, that type of stuff, like, being honest with yourself, and self-searching to, like, become the best person you can be. But, like, and that's, like, all they'll talk about for the whole hour that I'm there. We're in church, like, they'll, like, touch on it for, like, 1 minute.
They'll have
so
a side note, yeah.
it's kind of like you're not instilling into these into their thoughts, like, how to truly find happiness within yourself.
Well, that's the problem with most modern religion, is that, and this is something that Terence McKenna always talked about, is that all religions, every religion, at a certain point, was an experiential religion, which means that it's you having the direct divine experience, whether it's by inducing trance, through fasting, through meditation, through percussion, right, through the use of plant hallucinogens, which was what a lot of North American, South American, and Central Asian cultures did, and African as well. And they were experiential. You would actually be interacting with whatever divine force you're supposed to be worshiping. Whereas
and now you just interact with the priest.
Exactly.
You know?
It's someone.
You interact with another person instead of God himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, your higher power himself.
There's a great quote by the man who helped establish the Native American church. His name was Quanah Parker. He was the last chief of the Comanches. And he said that the white man goes into church and talks about God, while the red man goes into his teepee and talks to God.
Yeah. Like, that's great.
I thought that was pretty funny, yeah.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah. But
practicing it every day in your life, not just for that hour.
Right, and that's the same thing.
And then that 5 minutes within that hour.
Right. Well, that's why Satanism was set up, is because there's a guy who, oh God, I forget his name, but the guy who set up Satanism.
The normal Satanism, or like the Mr. Crowley Satanism?
No, like the normal, like.
Yeah. The worshiping of yourself and the earth.
Yeah, exactly. He started Satanism because he played church organ, and he also played organ at a carnival. And on church, on Sundays, he would see these people in the town that he would see at these carnivals that were at the carnivals very lewd and coming on to all these different women and being very, obscene and in public and all this shit. And then on Sunday, they'd be dressed up in their nice suits with their wives, acting very civil. Exactly. It's just they're wearing it as a face, kind of. And so he developed Satanism as a way to say a big F you to those people, basically.
Yeah.
Satanism is a very interesting philosophy, actually.
Yeah, it is.
It's basically just treat people the way they deserve to be treated based on their merits and character.
Yeah.
If somebody's an asshole, you call them out on being an asshole so that they can change. You don't allow them to be an asshole without doing anything about it.
Had them repent for 20 years.
Yeah.
Until... It's kind of like what we were talking about earlier with the test. Like what they do is you go to confession, and then at the end of your life, they're like, oh, you should have done this. With the tests.
Yeah.
And the papers. Like,
whoa, full circle,
it's
man.
kind of weird, dude.
Oh my god.
I mean, it's kind of what they do, Like, I mean, unless you're really I've had some conversation with priests, but you really have to go there and talk to them and get it out of them. Because you're applying your talk to a whole congregation of people.
My problem.
So you can't really focus on that one-on-one change.
My problem with people who talk to priests for advice, the problem is you're investing so much in the opinion of just another human being.
Person.
It's a human being.
Yeah.
You're not talking to God when you talk to this person. I'm sorry. You're talking to another human being. And they can think or actually be or believe or whatever that they're connected to a higher power.
Yeah.
But they're still the one talking to you. And you can't put all your fucking weight in one person.
No. That's like the interdependency thing,
Yeah.
You gotta take what they're saying at face value and then think about it for yourself. Like, do you truly believe that to be true? And if you don't, keep on asking people or asking yourself until you find the answer.
Oh, man. I love talking to you guys. This is great. Sorry, we're totally hogging the conversation this time, Adela.
Oh, no, it's fine.
When do you have your advising meeting?
I have it at 1:30.
Okay. Should we start wrapping this up?
Yeah, I was probably gonna, let you know that I was probably gonna cut off around, 1:10.
Okay.
If you guys want to, keep going.
No, yeah, okay. Well, I guess just as little ending notes, this is just something I was talking to somebody about earlier today. What fucking music have you guys been into lately, man?
Oh, man, that's a big question right there.
Yeah, that is a big question.
How about Adela starts off?
Okay.
I've just mostly been listening to a lot of Bob Marley lately, as usual, but just a lot more than usual.
Help you get through the week?
Yeah, I just when things are rough, I just listen to Bob Marley.
Dude, that Survival album is fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah, I love, I used to, like, listen to Top Rankin' a lot during the election. I think it also is just, like, a good song. Just because, like, there's, like, that line where he's like, they don't want to see us unite.
Yeah.
All they want us to do is keep on killing one another.
Dude, yeah, Africa Unite's a great song.
Yeah.
That was my first time really listening to it, except when you played it at my house over the summer, so I was, like, damn, I can see why she wanted them to play this during the show.
Yeah, it's a good song.
That was so funny after we got back from the show, and Alexander was like, did they play Three Little Birds? And you're like, fuck Three Little Birds!
Well, because there was, like, this group of, like, drunk suburban parents that were there, and they were like, Three little birds! Three little birds! Fuck you, that's not the only song! There's
Dude,
so many
that drunk lady fell on me like twice during the show, man. She was, oh man. Drunk 50-year-old moms, I tell you, god damn it.
Yeah. Suburban parents are wild.
They can be. It's because they feel so pent up in their domesticated lives.
I'm a domesticated being.
What about you, Luke?
Well, recently I just got back into, like, old, like I was talking about yesterday, like, Bob Crosby. You know him?
Bob Crosby or Bing Crosby?
Bing Crosby and Bob Crosby, I like both.
Who's Bob Crosby?
Bob Crosby, I believe, is the father.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah.
Interesting.
So,
Oh, that's pretty cool.
What about David Crosby?
No.
Do you not listen to it, or do you not know him?
I don't, no, I know him.
Oh, okay.
I don't listen to him.
Oh, okay.
But then Bob Crosby, just because, like, you can't feel bad. You know, I just feel like you can't feel bad when you listen to it.
That's how I feel about JGB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Modest Mouse, because they're fun.
Mm-hmm.
Elliott Smith a lot. I mean, he's kind of, like, fading out, but I like his, like, style of playing acoustic a lot, so that's why I've been listening to him. And, like, his chord progressions are very interesting, too. So, like, mostly if I'm, like, thinking about playing guitar that day, then listen to Elliott Smith. And then, like, just driving around, I love listening to Mars Volta recently, too, because it's just, like, I don't think you've listened to Mars Volta, but they're, like, a prog band and, like, psychedelic rock band. They're pretty out there.
Okay.
But, you know, they're just really interesting. Like, I don't know, there's some, like, most people definitely would not like Mars Volta for sure, but, like, they are just so unique that I love it. And at least listen to one song. I mean, catchy song, listen to The Widow. That's probably their most poppy. Well, not poppy, but, like, popular. I would say most easy listening wise. But if you want for a good time, listen to their first whole album, Do Lost in the Comatorium. Like, that's definitely, like, what got me into them, listening to that album.
Okay. Well,
especially if you're tripping.
As far as I've been listening lately, I was on a long Jerry Garcia band kick for about 2 months or so, and then I just started getting back into Fish after you guys were playing it when I was up with you guys in Wisconsin, and then I'm listening to
I like Fish a lot.
Yeah,
actually,
Fish is really good, man.
Actually, can I borrow a live CD?
Yeah, cool. Of course, dude. I'll burn you some. Fish, and I've been listening to more George Harrison a lot lately, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, All Things Must Pass is a great album. I don't know if you've ever listened to George Harrison, Adela, but you should look up the song Isn't It a Pity and Run of the Mill off of All Things Must Pass. It's a great album.
I'll definitely do that.
All right. Because even if you're not a big fan of the Beatles, which I'm not saying you, but like the rhetorical you, George Harrison is on his own level, man.
Yeah. He's definitely the best out of all the Beatles.
Agreed. It was so funny when I was up in Wisconsin. Actually, I don't remember what sparked the conversation, but we were talking about the Beatles, and I was like, "Wait, hold on. Which one's your favorite Beatle?" And Eric was like, "George Harrison." I was like, "Adele." He was like, "George Harrison." I was like, "All right, just making sure we're all cool here."
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
I remember it now that you're talking. I also remember when you said, "Hey guys, what's your favorite tree?"
Yeah.
What is your favorite tree?
Mine is either white pine. I also like common bald cypress and eastern redbud.
Mm.
Yeah. But all right. Well, I think since it's 1:10 exactly right now, that was pretty
Whoa.
good. How about that?
How about that?
How about that? All
How
right.
about that?
All right. How about that? Well, goodbye, Mongolians.
Goodbye, Montgomery.
Thanks for
Goodbye,
listening. If
Montgomery.
anybody actually made it this far. All right. Well, have fun at your appointment, Adela.
Thanks, I will.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
We stopped talking for the trees.